Hey everybody, how's it? Alrighty, Friday, blowing it up today with Behemoth. The song is called Blow Your Trumpets Gabriel. I've been pre-warned that this is heavy, dark death metal. But I don't know until I hear it, right? So let's do this. Lately, if you notice, I've been pulling a lot of audio from Spotify, which is obviously a little higher quality than YouTube, but it also helps me from getting the potential strikes that I do, or not strikes, but copyright blocks and stuff. So this is making life a lot easier for me, so I want to thank you guys for suggesting Spotify for me. I also want to thank you guys for your support. You know the story, any ads that run doesn't support the channel. So if you want to support me, you're going to buy a cup of coffee. And I want to thank the Death Wish Coffee people. They sent me a care package that included the Super Cool Beans mug. So I want to thank you guys for that. Oof, and that dark coffee. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Behemoth, Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel. All right. Okay, so here's what, for me, I really super dug about what I heard at the very beginning is they enter with the super powerful, real but straightforward, dun 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 dun. You know, so the left side obviously has the first power, crunch of the riff going. Right side joins us. Then what I loved is that powerful pound of the bass. You saw me go like this. Actually, on that one, it didn't do it. But then as the arrangement started to build, it was building in chunks of 4. So it was easy, to kind of like close your eyes and just roll with the build of arrangements. There's something else I want to bring up. I mean, obviously when the drums come in, it has this very marchy anthem kind of vibe because it's just boom, so it's really setting the bottom of it for me. But something I want to mention before we roll up really quick, continue to go forward, is I loved where the vocal performance is placed in the mix. And I know a lot of times I see comments that go through on the different kinds of bands that actually, emphasize the growling in their performance and stuff. And sometimes when I listen to it as an outsider, old Decomposer guy that's not, all these genres are fairly new to me. It's as of the start of this reaction stuff I've been doing. Has to do sometimes what can make or break people's I like it, I don't like it, can be where it's placed in the mix. And the fact that this powerful vocal performance is placed in alignment and slightly behind the guitars, it actually adds to the overall power of that hard left and right in the guitars as it's moving forward. And then finally, the last thing I want to say is that you heard me kind of go, oh, or saw me kind of respond to this, is that the guitar on this side, at the end of his phrase, actually I think for 2 beats, changed the notes and made it a little bit more of an edgier, I don't want to say da-da-da, da-da-da, kind of lifted it from the darkness just a little bit. So I really dug that. So let's go ahead and skate back a little bit and then I'll get you in. Stand by. All right, before I lock and load and continue on here, was there, now I don't know, in my ears it sounded like they introduced an arrangement in the background in that as I came back in, as it was going into its next build. It almost sounded like it was like a padded French horn kind of vibe, like as if it was giving it a theatrical kind of sound to it. Obviously it wasn't, you know, overly present, otherwise I would have picked it out a lot easier, but I did hear in the background there like a supporting, kind of gave me French horns, kind of goth kind of horns arrangement, something like I may have done if I was scoring Pirates of the Caribbean or something of that kind of heaviness, or a Game of Thrones kind of thing where you have, you know, these long French horn phrases that are very powerful, but they hold a specific, you know, punch in the tone area there. So, and also now the guitars are they're a little more liberty with those notes that they're playing. I want to say it sounds kind of Phrygian. Phrygian is a mode and a scale that kind of gives it. There's different modes depending on the scale. There's a minor harmonic modes and major modes and stuff. And they have to do like you're in the same scale, but when you move these modes by steps, it changes the vibe that you get for it. It could be happy, sad. In this case, that da 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 da. There's a change that's going there that kind of reminds me if it could be Phrygian. You guys who are theory type guys, chime in on that. So, all right, let me move on with this. How does the drummer do that? Now, I've seen this a few times in drum cam stuff, but there hasn't been a lot of emphasis that I've put on the technique that the drummers must be using. Look, I played drums, you know, it was one of my first instruments as a kid, but I was practicing the Rush and Zeppelin and you know, things in the 70s, right, that were really, you know, pushing the limits. But this style of drum playing, and I've seen it a few times, it's just unimaginable for me. And even though I watch these drummers do it on videos now, their techniques are flawless. You have to have flawless technique to do this, and to be tick, 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 tick. And see, here's where I get lost with that. I get lost with that when it comes to the velocity in which they maintain through that performance. You know what I mean? It's stamina. It's complete stamina. And to do what they're doing, I mean, I kind of tried. I went to Guitar Center. We actually have a Guitar Center here in Hawaii. And I went and I tried the double kicks, and I was like, okay, so let me see how this works. I go, okay, spring settings and stuff. But after 10 seconds, my legs were just like knotted up. So the whole thing where it's all doing these 16th or 30 seconds, and keeping that velocity is absolutely remarkable to me. Really, really. A celebration in drumming. Whatever genre is, whatever it is, I don't care. That is just absolutely crazy. Another fun thing about that section we just heard is that there was an answer question going on, or a left and right going on with the guitar, that for those of you who are fans, you probably already know this. For those of you who are listening to this for the first time with me, you can hear that that's going on there, and that adds really cool with the dynamic. Now, because I'm not familiar with the band, all the big stuff going on in the background, I heard some soundscape. Soundscape is different than tonal work. So it could be wind, it could be thunder, it could be these unique kind of things, but they don't actually have necessarily a tonal value. It doesn't have a key that it's assigned to. But it sounds also like in the background there are some really saturated reverb kind of choral kind of arrangements, but way in the back. So I can't really tell if there's actually arrangements with the choral pieces that they're moving around, or if it's just, you know, ahs, just ah in particular. I mean, I can hear there's an arrangement, but I can't quite pick it out. But very unique use of that in this song. You know, for my first experience with this band, this to me is very, very intensely thought up of in this production. There's a lot of layering that goes on there that's very unique and technical and stuff. But I'm sure I'm going to be listening to more of them. So let's go back a little more. Sorry, I'm still not used to Spotify's like YouTube hold press backward left, so I'm a little slower at it. So stand by. God, that is just absolutely amazing. What a great ending. I love the fact that they gave us a completely different arrangement for the ending. A lot of times songs like to tie in, so whatever the beginning riff is, even if it was like a beginning, like an intro riff or something, and they ventured off and did the song, a lot of times you like to maybe close with that. It's like kind of buttoning up the song. In this case, they gave us a different arrangement. That bass, God, that bass sounds fantastic. I don't know, I'd love to know exactly how that was, you know, if it was, you know, there's so many different ways to record guitars and basses and stuff, and a lot of times I think the bass, at least in my days of recording, you know, we want as many options as we want as an engineer. So, you know, you would take a line out from the head, then you'd mic a cabinet, and then you do a direct line, you know, with a DI box. Excuse me. That way you can mix and blend and do things. You know, we didn't have back in the day plugins and stuff like that like we have now, that you can run things through digital plugins. All manipulation had to be done through signal flow and organic signal flow, you know. And so, and there's other things, there are other variables involved in it that I think most people don't know, even the types of cable that are being used. But man, I love that bass sound and his bass playing. And then once again, the drummer. I'm sorry, I know this is about a band, but I can't help but focus back on the drummer. I love his build and his arrangement towards the very end when he was finally getting into his 16ths. You know, that probably looked funny. But what I loved is that, you know, he had that nice little soft snare thing going on, and then the next one, and you saw me probably freeze up and go, that was like an honorable vibe of Neil Peart, you know, from Rush. Didn't you feel that there was that same, and which is, and I think any drummer in the world at any given time has been influenced, listened to, or has, even if you haven't heard it forever, you still find yourself going, that doesn't mean that Neil Peart owns that riff. It's just such a powerful, recognizable part of his, you know, contribution to the drumming world, that, you know, we'll sometimes just sit there and say, and even if the drummer didn't think about it, you just can't help sometimes if some of that stuff bubbles to the top, you know, when you're doing what you're doing, you know. So anyhow, guys, thank you so much. I know Behemoth has been suggested to me for about 3.5 months, and I keep going back and forth, and I'm doing the best I can here. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for your support. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, that link is down below. The link for Behemoth, Spotify, and some of their merch will also be down below. So thanks for hanging out. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Aloha. All right.